The arrival of the unknown. Leo Carter had never imagined that a simple visit to his friend's home would lead him down a path filled with cosmic complexities. As he rode his sleek hover bike through the vibrant streets of New Celestia, a city renowned for its breathtaking architecture and advanced technology, he felt an exhilarating rush of freedom. The neon lights reflected off his visor as he maneuvered through the bustling crowds of alien beings and humans alike. His destination was Talia's expansive villa located on the outskirts of the city. The sun was setting behind the towering spires of New Celestia, casting long shadows that danced across the manicured lawns. As he pulled into the driveway, he caught sight of Talia standing on her porch, her luminescent skin glowing softly in the twilight. "Leo! You made it," she exclaimed, her voice warm and inviting. Talia was a Zyran, a species known for their striking beauty and intelligence. Her silver hair flowed like liquid mercury in the evening breeze. "Of course. I wouldn't miss this for anything," Leo replied with a grin as he dismounted his bike. "I've been looking forward to working on your tech upgrades." Talia led him inside her home, which was filled with an array of advanced gadgets and shimmering holograms displaying intricate designs. They spent hours discussing various engineering concepts while tinkering with devices that hummed with energy. As they worked late into the night, Leo felt a sense of camaraderie with Talia that transcended their friendship. They shared a passion for innovation that sparked creativity in both of them. Eventually, fatigue began to set in. "You look exhausted," Talia remarked as she wiped her brow with a cloth. "You should stay over tonight, I have a guest room ready for you." "Thanks. I think I will," Leo said appreciatively. He had always felt at home in Talia's villa. It was a sanctuary filled with warmth and laughter. Before heading to bed, Talia's expression turned serious. "Leo," she said softly, "there's something you need to know about my sister." "Your sister?" Leo asked curiously. "Juno is visiting from her home planet," Talia explained cautiously. She's currently in her mating cycle." Leo raised an eyebrow in confusion. "Mating cycle? What does that mean?" Talia sighed deeply before continuing. "Zyrans experience intense instincts during this time, especially females. It can make them act unpredictably." "Okay," Leo replied slowly, trying to process what she was saying. "I know you're not familiar with our customs," Talia said earnestly. "But please, lock your door tonight." Leo chuckled lightly, dismissing her concern as he headed toward the guest room. "I'll be fine. How wild could it possibly get?" Talia frowned but didn't press further as he entered the luxurious room adorned with bioluminescent plants that glowed softly in the darkened space. After stripping down to his comfortable sleepwear, Leo collapsed onto the massive bed that seemed to envelop him in its softness. He quickly drifted off into a deep sleep without giving another thought to locking his door. Hours later, in the stillness of night, an ethereal figure slipped silently through the open door into Leo's room. Juno was unlike anyone he had ever seen, her skin shimmered like starlight under the faint glow of bioluminescence surrounding them. Her long hair floated gracefully around her as if submerged in water. As she approached him, her golden eyes sparkled with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. She leaned closer until he could feel her warmth radiating against him. "I could sense you from down the hall," she whispered softly, her voice smooth like silk yet laced with an undeniable urgency. Leo stirred awake abruptly to find himself staring into Juno's mesmerizing gaze, the kind that seemed to hold galaxies within them. His heart raced as instinct took over. He was captivated by her presence despite knowing he should be cautious. "Talia warned me about you," he managed to say through breathless confusion. Juno smiled knowingly as she traced a finger along his arm, a touch that ignited sparks throughout his body. "But you left your door unlocked," she replied playfully before leaning closer still. In that moment, rational thought faded away. All that mattered was this intoxicating connection between them, a magnetic pull that drew him closer to her warmth and allure. As their lips met in an electrifying kiss filled with unspoken desires and primal instincts, Leo realized that ignoring warnings might lead him into uncharted territories far beyond what he had ever anticipated. Crossing boundaries. The morning sun poured through the expansive windows of Talia's villa, illuminating the room where Leo and Juno lay entwined in the aftermath of a night filled with passion and confusion. Leo stirred, blinking against the brightness as memories flooded back, Juno's intoxicating presence, the warmth of her skin, the electric connection that had surged between them. He felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation as he turned to look at her. Juno was still asleep, her features soft and serene. The golden hue of her skin glimmered in the sunlight, and her hair floated around her like a halo. Leo couldn't help but admire her beauty, but as he did, a wave of anxiety washed over him. What had he done? He remembered Talia's warning about Juno's mating cycle and the implications of their encounter. The weight of that knowledge pressed down on him like a heavy fog. He had ignored the warning, thinking it was just an overreaction, but now he was faced with the reality of their connection, a bond that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. As if sensing his gaze, Juno stirred awake. Her lemon-yellow eyes met his, and a smile spread across her face. "Good morning, Leo," she said softly, her voice still thick with sleep. "Morning," he replied, trying to keep his tone casual despite the turmoil inside him. Juno propped herself up on one elbow, studying him with an intensity that made his heart race. "Last night was incredible," she said, her smile widening. "I've never felt anything like it before." Leo swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. "Yeah, it was something," he managed to say, feeling the weight of his uncertainty hanging in the air between them. "Are you okay?" Juno asked, concern flickering in her eyes. "You seem distant." "I'm just trying to process everything," Leo admitted. "Talia warned me about your instincts during your mating cycle. I didn't think it would be this intense." Juno's expression shifted from concern to understanding. "I know it can be overwhelming," she said gently. "But what we shared wasn't just instinctual, it was real." Leo felt a rush of emotions coursing through him, desire, confusion, and an undeniable attraction that he couldn't ignore. "I feel it too," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then let's explore this connection," Juno suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We don't have to rush into anything serious right away. We can take our time." Leo nodded slowly, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. He wanted to explore this bond but was acutely aware of the societal implications that came with it, especially since Juno was not just any alien, she was Xiran. As they began to talk more openly about their feelings and desires, Leo found himself captivated by Juno's perspective on life. She shared stories about her home planet and its customs, how Xyrans valued deep connections and how their mating cycles were a natural part of their biology. "It's not just about reproduction for us," Juno explained. "It's about forging connections that can last a lifetime." Leo listened intently as she spoke about her culture's emphasis on emotional bonds during mating cycles. He found himself drawn deeper into her world, a world where emotions were celebrated rather than suppressed. Just then, Talia entered the room with a tray laden with breakfast, a colorful assortment of alien fruits and pastries that smelled heavenly. She paused mid-step when she saw them together in bed. "Oh. I didn't realize you two were busy," Talia said with an amused grin. "Talia!" Leo exclaimed, feeling heat rise to his cheeks as he quickly pulled the sheets up to cover himself and Juno. Talia laughed lightly as she set the tray down on the bedside table. "Relax. I'm not here to judge, I just hope you're both aware of what this means." "Yeah, we were just discussing that," Leo said cautiously. Talia's expression shifted to one of seriousness as she leaned against the doorframe. "Listen, Leo, I know you're both caught up in this moment, but you need to understand that Xiran mating cycles are serious business." "I know," Leo replied defensively. "But we're both consenting adults here." "Consent isn't the issue," Talia countered gently but firmly. It's about what happens next. The emotional bonds that form during this time can be incredibly strong. Juno nodded in agreement. Talia is right, our connection is already deepening because of last night. Leo felt a pang of anxiety at those words but also an undeniable thrill at the idea of exploring this new relationship with Juno, however complicated it might become. What do we do now? Leo asked Talia earnestly. You need to communicate openly with each other, Talia advised. Talk about your feelings and expectations moving forward. Juno took Leo's hand in hers, intertwining their fingers as she looked into his eyes with sincerity. I want to understand what this means for us too, she said softly. Leo felt warmth spread through him at her words. Despite his fears about societal expectations and potential consequences, there was something undeniably magnetic about Juno that drew him closer. As they shared breakfast together, laughing and talking, the atmosphere lightened considerably. The initial tension began to dissolve as they focused on enjoying each other's company rather than worrying about what lay ahead. After breakfast, Talia suggested they take a walk outside to clear their heads and enjoy the beautiful day. The trio stepped out into the garden filled with bioluminescent plants that glowed softly under the midday sun. As they strolled through the vibrant flora, Leo found himself walking beside Juno while Talia walked ahead slightly, giving them space yet staying close enough to offer support if needed. Do you think your brother will be upset? Juno asked quietly after a moment of comfortable silence between them. Talia. Leo replied with a chuckle before shaking his head seriously. No. I meant your brother, Thorian. Juno sighed deeply at the mention of her brother's name. He worries too much, he just wants to protect me. He cares about you, Leo noted thoughtfully. Yes, Juno agreed softly but then added with a hint of mischief in her voice, but he can be overprotective sometimes. Leo smiled at her playful tone. It eased some of his lingering tension as they continued walking hand in hand through Talia's garden, a sanctuary filled with life and color that mirrored their burgeoning connection. As they wandered deeper into the garden's embrace, a place where secrets could be whispered beneath rustling leaves, Leo realized that despite all uncertainties surrounding their relationship, there was one undeniable truth. He wanted to explore every facet of this bond with Juno while navigating whatever challenges lay ahead together. The awakening. The tension in Talia's living room was palpable as Adam and Marana sat side by side, their fingers intertwined, awaiting the arrival of the Genetic Council representatives. Each passing moment intensified the bond that had formed between them, a connection that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Adam could sense Marana's anxiety through their shared psychic link. It coursed through him like electricity, amplifying his own feelings of apprehension. Just breathe, he whispered, squeezing her hand gently. We'll get through this together. Marana nodded, her luminous yellow eyes reflecting a mix of determination and vulnerability. I know. It's just, everything is happening so fast. Adam glanced at Thorian, who was pacing the room with an air of agitation. His silver markings flickered with nervous energy, a visual manifestation of his concern for both his sister and his friend. You're doing great, Thorian reassured them, though his voice betrayed his own unease. Just remember to stay calm and be honest with them. Before Adam could respond, the door opened, and 3 distinguished members of the Genetic Council entered the room. Dressed in formal robes that shimmered with patterns of bioluminescence, they exuded authority and gravitas. The leader, Archon Pellis, stepped forward with an air of curiosity. Greetings, he said, his lemon-yellow eyes studying Adam and Marana intently. We appreciate your willingness to meet with us under these unprecedented circumstances. Adam felt a wave of apprehension wash over him as he met Pellis's gaze. Thank you for coming, he replied, trying to sound confident despite the fluttering in his stomach. Pellis gestured for the council members to take their seats. We are here to discuss the implications of your recent pairing during Marana's heat cycle, he stated matter-of-factly. The bond resonance between you is remarkably strong for such a new coupling. Marana's grip on Adam's hand tightened as Pellis continued. It is our responsibility to ensure that both parties understand the significance of this connection, especially given the potential for cross-species offspring. Adam exchanged a glance with Marana. Their shared emotions surged through their bond, an intoxicating mix of excitement and fear. He took a deep breath before speaking again. "We understand that this is serious," he said earnestly. "But we also want to explore this connection fully." "Exploration is one thing," Matron Alara interjected, her voice carrying an authoritative tone. "But you must realize that Saran heat cycles are not merely about physical attraction, they are deeply tied to reproduction and genetic compatibility." "Exactly," Thorian chimed in, his agitation resurfacing. "This bond creates permanent biochemical ties between you two, ties that cannot be easily severed." Adam felt a wave of emotion that wasn't entirely his own, a mixture of joy and anxiety from Marana that flooded through their connection like a rushing river. He turned to her, searching her face for reassurance. "Marana," he said softly, "what do you want?" She met his gaze with unwavering sincerity. "I want to understand what this means for us," she replied, her voice steady despite the storm brewing within her. "I want to explore this bond and see where it leads." Archon Pellus nodded thoughtfully at their exchange but remained focused on the task at hand. "To proceed, we must conduct an assessment of your bond resonance frequencies," he announced. Researcher Darius pulled out a complex scanning device from his robes, a sleek instrument designed to measure neural patterns and emotional connections between individuals. Adam felt a flutter of apprehension as Darius approached them. "If you will allow us," Darius said politely, holding up the device. Marana nodded, her expression resolute as they both agreed to participate in the assessment. As Darius waved the scanner over them, it emitted a series of high-pitched tones that resonated in the air around them. Adam could feel the device registering their shared energy, a tangible reflection of their connection. "Extraordinary," Darius breathed as he studied the readings displayed on his device. "Your neural patterns are perfectly synchronized." Adam exchanged another glance with Marana, their bond pulsed with warmth at Darius's words. "The human's biochemistry has already begun adapting to match Saran resonance frequencies," Archon Pellus noted with intrigue. Adam felt a surge of pride at that revelation, an affirmation that he was more than just an outsider in this relationship, he was becoming part of something greater. "But you must understand," Pellus continued, shifting back to a more serious tone, "the implications are significant. Your pairing will require proper documentation and observation due to its unprecedented nature." "What does that entail?" Adam asked cautiously. "You will need regular examinations, genetic counseling, and cultural integration training," Matron Alara explained bluntly. "This is standard procedure for any significant pairing, especially one involving cross-species reproduction." A sense of foreboding settled over Adam as he processed her words. The idea of being monitored so closely felt invasive but also necessary given the circumstances. "And what if we refuse?" Marana challenged defiantly, her protective instincts flaring through their bond. "Then we cannot guarantee the safety or legal status of your offspring," Matron Alara stated firmly. Adam felt a surge of protectiveness swell within him at the thought of potential children who would be caught between two worlds without proper recognition or rights. "I won't let that happen," he declared resolutely, squeezing Marana's hand tighter as if drawing strength from her presence. Archon Pellus regarded them thoughtfully before speaking again. "Your determination is commendable, however, our laws are strict regarding unregistered cross-species births." The weight of those words hung heavily in the air as silence enveloped them momentarily, a silence filled with unspoken fears and hopes for what lay ahead. Finally breaking it, Darius spoke up again with excitement lacing his tone. "However," he began cautiously, "the potential for a human-Saran hybrid would be groundbreaking, an opportunity to revolutionize our understanding of cross-species compatibility." Adam felt Marana's joy surge through their bond at Darius's words, a bright light amidst the uncertainty surrounding them. "Then we have to make sure it happens properly," Adam said firmly, determination flooding his voice as he looked around at the council members seated before him. "We will comply with your requirements," Marana added confidently beside him. Archon Pelles nodded slowly in acknowledgement but remained cautious about their enthusiasm. "We will need time to process this information and determine how best to proceed." As they discussed logistics and potential timelines for examinations and training sessions, Adam couldn't shake off the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental, a new chapter in both their lives filled with unknowns yet brimming with possibilities. When they finally concluded their meeting with promises of cooperation from both sides, Adam felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him as they stepped outside into the cool evening air. "I can't believe we just did that," he exclaimed incredulously once they were alone again. Marana laughed lightly beside him, a sound that sent warmth flooding through their bond once more. "It feels surreal, doesn't it?" "It does," Adam admitted as he looked into her radiant eyes filled with excitement and hope for what lay ahead. Together they walked side by side under the starlit sky, a sky filled with infinite possibilities, and embraced whatever came next. The council's decision. The tension in the room was palpable as Adam and Marana sat before the Genetic Council, their fates hanging in the balance. The air crackled with unspoken emotions, a mixture of anticipation and anxiety swirling around them like a storm. Adam could feel Marana's unease through their bond, her lemon-yellow eyes reflecting the gravity of their situation. He squeezed her hand gently, trying to convey reassurance even as uncertainty gnawed at him. Archon Pelles, the leader of the council, studied them with keen interest. "We appreciate your willingness to meet with us today," he began, his voice steady yet authoritative. "The implications of your pairing are unprecedented, and we must ensure that both parties understand the responsibilities that come with such a bond." Marana leaned closer to Adam, her presence grounding him as he faced the council's scrutiny. "We understand," she said firmly, her voice unwavering. "We're prepared to comply with whatever requirements you have." Matron Alara nodded approvingly but maintained a serious demeanor. "It is essential that you both recognize the significance of this union, especially given the potential for offspring. Our society does not take such matters lightly." Adam felt a wave of protectiveness surge through him at the mention of children. The idea of having a family with Marana filled him with a mix of excitement and trepidation. He had never envisioned himself in such a role, but now it seemed like an undeniable possibility. "Your bond resonance indicates a remarkable compatibility," researcher Darius interjected, his enthusiasm evident. "This could lead to groundbreaking advancements in our understanding of cross-species genetics." Adam exchanged a glance with Marana, their shared emotions pulsed between them, an intoxicating blend of hope and apprehension. He could sense her desire to embrace this opportunity fully, and it fueled his determination to navigate whatever challenges lay ahead. However, Archon Pelles continued, his tone shifting to one of caution, "We must also address the potential consequences of your actions during Marana's heat cycle. The Genetic Council has strict regulations regarding cross-species pairings, particularly those formed under such circumstances." "What does that mean for us?" Adam asked, his heart racing as he braced himself for their response. "It means that we will require regular examinations and monitoring of your bond," Matron Alara stated bluntly. "You will need to undergo genetic counseling and cultural integration training to ensure that both parties are fully informed about the implications of this union." Adam felt a knot form in his stomach at the thought of being scrutinized so closely. "And if we refuse?" he challenged, his protective instincts flaring. "Then we cannot guarantee the safety or legal status of your offspring," Matron Alara replied firmly. "Unregistered cross-species births are prohibited under colonial law." Marana's grip on Adam's hand tightened as she processed this information. He could feel her anxiety radiating through their bond, a mixture of fear for their future and fierce determination to protect what they had begun. "We can't let that happen," Adam said resolutely, his voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling around them. "I won't allow anyone to dictate our choices or undermine our connection." Archon Pelles regarded him thoughtfully before nodding slowly. "Your passion is commendable, but you must understand that our laws exist for a reason. They are designed to protect both species and ensure that any offspring are recognized and cared for. Then we'll comply with your requirements, Marana said decisively, her voice filled with determination. We want to do this right. Very well, Archon Pelus replied, a hint of approval in his gaze. We will proceed with the necessary documentation and arrangements for your examinations and training sessions. As they discussed logistics and timelines for their compliance, Adam felt a surge of relief wash over him. While the prospect of being monitored was daunting, it also meant they would be able to navigate this journey together, side by side. After concluding their meeting with promises from both sides to cooperate fully, Adam and Marana stepped outside into the cool evening air, their hearts still racing from the gravity of their discussions. I can't believe we just went through all that, Adam exclaimed incredulously once they were alone again. Marana laughed lightly beside him, a sound that sent warmth flooding through their bond once more. It feels surreal, doesn't it? It does, Adam admitted as he looked into her radiant eyes filled with excitement and hope for what lay ahead. As they walked together under the starlit sky, a sky filled with infinite possibilities, they embraced whatever came next with open hearts. Days turned into weeks as Adam and Marana navigated their new reality as a couple facing societal expectations while exploring their relationship. They attended regular examinations at the Genetic Council's facility where they underwent tests designed to monitor their bond resonance and compatibility. Each appointment brought them closer together, every shared experience deepened their connection in ways neither had anticipated. They learned more about each other's cultures. Adam introduced Marana to human customs while she shared insights into Zyran traditions. During one particularly enlightening session on Zyran mating customs, Adam found himself captivated by Marana's passion for her heritage. She explained how Zyran celebrated significant milestones in relationships through elaborate ceremonies filled with music, dance, and vibrant displays of bioluminescence. It's beautiful, Adam said sincerely as he watched her animated expressions while she spoke about her culture's rich history. It is, Marana agreed softly before adding playfully, but I think we should create our own traditions too. Adam grinned at her suggestion. He loved the idea of blending their cultures into something uniquely theirs, a celebration of their bond that transcended species boundaries. As they grew closer emotionally and physically, Adam found himself grappling with thoughts about what it meant to be part of Marana's world, a world filled with customs he was still learning to navigate. One evening after returning from an examination at the Genetic Council's facility, they settled into Thorian's living room where they often spent quiet evenings together discussing everything from engineering concepts to personal dreams. Do you ever think about what it would be like if we had children? Adam asked suddenly, feeling bold as he turned toward Marana who sat beside him on the couch. Her eyes widened slightly before she smiled warmly, a smile that lit up her entire face. All the time, she admitted softly. I imagine what they would look like, what kind of lives they would lead. What do you think they'd inherit from us? Adam asked curiously. Marana pondered for a moment before responding thoughtfully. They'd have your creativity and resourcefulness, your ability to solve problems quickly. She then added playfully, and my gracefulness. Adam chuckled at her teasing tone but felt warmth spread through him at her words. Imagining a child who embodied both their traits filled him with hope for what lay ahead. But seriously, she continued more earnestly, they would be part human and part Zyran, a blend of two worlds that could bring something entirely new into existence. The thought resonated deeply within him. He felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility toward any future children they might have, a desire to ensure they were embraced by both cultures without prejudice or limitation. I want them to know both sides, the beauty in each culture, Adam said firmly as he looked into Marana's eyes filled with understanding. They will, she promised softly before leaning closer until their foreheads touched, a gesture that sent warmth flooding through their bond once more. As they sat there wrapped in each other's presence, their connection growing stronger by the day, they knew whatever challenges lay ahead would be faced together, united by love and an unbreakable bond forged between two worlds. Embracing destiny. The atmosphere in Thorian's living room was charged with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty as Adam and Marana sat side by side, their hands intertwined. The Genetic Council had just laid out the implications of their bond, and the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on them. Adam could feel the warmth radiating from Marana, a comforting presence amid the swirling emotions that filled the room. "Are you ready for this?" Adam asked softly, glancing at Marana. Her lemon-yellow eyes sparkled with determination, and he felt a surge of reassurance flow through their bond. "I've never been more ready," she replied with conviction, her voice steady despite the enormity of what lay ahead. "We're in this together." As they awaited the arrival of the council members, Adam's mind raced with thoughts of their future. The prospect of having children, hybrids that would embody both human and Zyran traits, filled him with a mix of excitement and trepidation. He had always dreamed of a family, but now it felt like a reality that was both thrilling and daunting. "Do you think they'll agree to our terms?" Adam asked, his brow furrowing slightly. Marana squeezed his hand reassuringly. "We have to trust that they'll see the value in our bond. This is more than just a pairing, it's an opportunity for both our species." Just then, the door swung open, and Archon Pellis entered with two other council members, Matron Alara and researcher Darius. Their formal robes shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that indicated their high rank within Zyran society. The air grew thick with tension as they took their seats across from Adam and Marana. "Thank you for your patience," Archon Pellis began, his lemon-yellow eyes studying them intently. "We have discussed your case thoroughly and recognized the significance of your bond." Adam felt a rush of hope at his words but remained cautious. "What does that mean for us?" he asked, his voice steady. "We believe that your pairing holds great potential for both species," Matron Alara interjected, her tone authoritative yet measured. "However, we must ensure that all necessary protocols are followed to protect your rights and those of any future offspring." "Protocols?" Adam echoed, feeling a mix of apprehension and determination. "What exactly does that entail?" "You will be required to undergo regular examinations to monitor your bond resonance," researcher Darius explained eagerly. "This includes genetic counseling and cultural integration training to ensure you are both fully informed about the implications of your union." Marana nodded thoughtfully, her expression serious. "We understand that this is important. We want to do everything right." "Good," Archon Pellis said approvingly. "Additionally, we will provide you with resources to help navigate any challenges you may face as a couple from different species." Adam felt a wave of gratitude wash over him at Pellis's words. It was reassuring to know they would have support as they embarked on this journey together. "But there is one crucial aspect we must address," Matron Alara continued, her tone shifting to one of caution. "The Council requires documentation of your union to ensure legal recognition under Zyran law." "What does that involve?" Adam asked, feeling a knot form in his stomach. "You will need to participate in a formal bonding ceremony," Matron Alara explained. "This ceremony will solidify your connection in the eyes of both societies and ensure that any offspring are recognized as legitimate." Marana's eyes widened in surprise at the mention of a ceremony. "A bonding ceremony? What does it entail?" "It is a traditional event where both parties pledge their commitment to one another," Archon Pellis elaborated. "It involves rituals that symbolize unity and mutual respect between your cultures." Adam exchanged a glance with Marana, he could feel her excitement mingling with apprehension through their bond. The idea of publicly affirming their connection was both thrilling and intimidating. "I'm willing to do it if you are," Adam said earnestly, squeezing Marana's hand tightly. "I am," she replied without hesitation, her gaze unwavering. "Very well," Archon Pellis said with a nod. "We will arrange for the ceremony to take place within the next few days. In the meantime, we encourage you both to continue exploring your bond and preparing for what lies ahead." As the council members began discussing logistics for the ceremony, Adam felt a wave of emotion wash over him, a mixture of joy, anticipation, and determination for their future together. He glanced at Marana, who was listening intently, her expression filled with excitement. Once the meeting concluded and the council members departed, Thorian entered the room with an air of relief mixed with pride. "You did well," he said, clapping Adam on the shoulder. "I knew you could handle it." "Thanks," Adam replied with a smile. "But this is just the beginning." Marana beamed at them both before turning her attention back to Adam. "I can't believe we're actually going through with this," she said excitedly. "It feels surreal," Adam admitted as he took her hands in his once more. "But I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else." They spent the rest of the evening discussing details about their upcoming bonding ceremony, what traditions they wanted to incorporate from each culture and how they could make it uniquely theirs. As night fell over New Albion Colony, casting shadows across Thorian's villa, Adam found himself lost in thought while gazing out at the stars twinkling above, a reminder of how far he had come since that fateful night when he had left his door unlocked. The universe seemed vast and full of possibilities. He felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for every twist and turn that had led him here, to this moment where love transcended boundaries between species. In the days leading up to their bonding ceremony, Adam and Marana immersed themselves in preparations, learning about each other's customs while also creating new traditions that reflected their unique connection. They practiced sharing stories from their childhoods, Adam recounting tales from Earth while Marana shared legends from Zyran culture, and each story brought them closer together as they discovered shared values despite their differences. On the day before their ceremony, they stood hand in hand on Thorian's porch overlooking the sprawling gardens filled with bioluminescent flowers glowing softly under the moonlight, a breathtaking sight that mirrored their own blossoming love. "I can't believe tomorrow is finally here," Marana said breathlessly as she gazed at him with awe-filled eyes. "Neither can I," Adam replied softly before leaning down to kiss her gently, a kiss filled with promise for what lay ahead. As they pulled away from each other's embrace, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace settle within him. No matter what challenges awaited them after tomorrow's ceremony, they would face them together, united by love and an unbreakable bond forged between two worlds.